Welcome back. Well, apart from President Muhammadu Buhari, leaders from other African countries are also going to be attending the UN General Assembly. The Malawian and Ugandan governments have confirmed their arrival, as President Jacob Zuma is also set to already be in New York. Cameroonian President Paul Biya, Congo Republic's President Denis Sassou Nguesso, Senegal's Macky Sall, and Mali's Ibrahim Keita have all arrived in New York. These leaders will be holding a lunch meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump, many of them for the first time. Africa's security situation will be high on the agenda, and Africa has been plagued by security issues for a long time, from the Mali Tuareg rebels to the Al-Shabaab militants in Somalia to the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria's northeast, the Islamic State threatening to control much of Libya. Africa is also plagued by food insecurity. A major drought hit the southern part of the continent last year, causing the United Nations to warn that one should expect food shortages. Climate change has been a major challenge. The continent has experienced floods like never before. There is a lot the African continent can discuss at the table with the U.S. president. Well, we've been joined in the studio now by Dr. Ferdinand Otto of the Department of Political Science at the University of Lagos. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So we hear over 50 African heads of state and government are expected at the General Assembly. What do you think their message should be to the international community?
Yeah, in view of the challenges that Africa is facing currently, they have a lot of things to really present to the world. Indeed, let's all start with the internal security of most countries in Africa. That is a global issue that Africa needs the support of the international community. So it depends on how they present it, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where you have all this kind of insecurity, conflicts, and so on. So largely they need the support of the international community. Good extent that they are meeting the U.S. president, even though that he might not do much in Africa. But it is also to send a message, that, look, Africa is reaching out to the world. The material of African solution to African problem is not working out from what we're seeing. We have seen it in our own fight against Boko Haram, for instance. Without the assistance of some of our friends, the international friends, I don't think it would have been very possible.
But we also know that the same African leaders, if the government hadn't changed before, this year's United Nations General Assembly, that they've talked about some of these issues: global peace, security, asking the international community to wade in, sustainable development goals. I mean, it's been a year, so are they still going to talk about the same thing? Why hasn't there been a change, a significant one?
Yeah, it is a major problem that Africa is facing. The leaders, the African leaders, the crop of leaders we have in Africa today is not those African leaders that we have at the birth of African OAU, now African Union. Now, those that the leaders we have today, they are facing, some of them, the way they emerge as leaders is questionable. So it becomes very difficult for them to actually command that kind of respect, But coming to United Nations, of course, is an annual ritual. They have to come to present their problems as usual. Whether they are being assisted or not is irrelevant. What is important is that at every point in time, the world is aware. Of course, they are always aware. They always follow the story of Africa. So the issues that they are taking to the United Nations, the issue of insecurity, the issue of climate change, the issue of flood and so on, as we are witnessing of this part of the country. These are some of the challenges that they cannot, on their own, tackle. So they need the support of the international community.
Many a times, African leaders have little to say, perhaps as it concerns international issues. But let's say, for example, North Korea's nuclear program. Do you think they would have any say in this?
Well, the North Korean issue, in the first place, no African state is a global power, or a nuclear power, so to say. So it's only for them to add their voice to the voice of other countries in the world, to appeal to the moral conscience of the leadership of North Korea. Because the North Korea, as a member of the United Nations, and the United Nations principally exists for maintenance of peace and security. And the North Korea action is a threat to international security. Therefore, African leaders will always add, in case if there's going to be any kind of voting in the UN General Assembly, to carry out a sanction against North Korea. Of course, that would be a collective action or vote.
Let's come back home. Talking about the president's speech, we have an idea of a speech according to the special advisor on publicity, talking about, you know, the reaffirmation of global peace, security, cooperation in the fight against corruption, supporting the IDPs, and many more. But do you think the international community is really listening?
Yeah, it is a good thing that our president is well to attend this important UN General Assembly meeting. If you recall very well, last year he presented the same message to the international community. And of course, because of international goodwill, which he's enjoying, by sending this message year in, year out, is also an indication that the president is very serious in the fight against corruption and other challenges that the country is facing today. So I think that the president, because of the respect they have for him, it may not come immediately. These things are not just something you just make a pronouncement and it is carried out. No, it will take some time, from different countries, especially our principal partners, our allies, for them to say, yeah, for the fact that this man, this president, Buhari, has been very consistent and they have seen the transparency in his leadership. Of course, that will aid, the international community to really do something to make sure that those funds that are stolen are recovered back to Nigeria. All
right, thank you so much, Dr. Ferdinand, also of the Department of Political Science at the University of Lagos, for joining us on the program. Well, Egypt's heavy dependence on the tourism sector for foreign currency and jobs has seen the government taking measures to increase the number of visitors to its ancient artifacts and sunny beaches. The Ministry of Antiquities has dubbed 2017 as the year of discoveries following a number of major finds unearthed in the ancient city of Luxor, which they say have contributed to an increase in tourism revenue.
Egypt's tourism revenues jumped by 170% in the first 7 months of 2017, reaching $3.5 billion. The head of Luxor's Antiquities Authority believes this increase can be partly attributed to the numerous ancient sites discovered, which are open to the public.
When every 6 months or less we discover a new antiquity, the foreigner abroad might say, I missed it, or I should travel to see the new discovery. Some are very interested, like the French or any other nationality, and like to go see all antiquities in countries. The repeaters in this case could visit 5, 6, 7, 8 times. This is the contribution of the Ministry of Antiquities to stimulate the tourism. It promotes it to tourists.
The number of tourists visiting Egypt rose by 54% in the same 7-month period on an annual basis to reach 4.3 million, boosted by the increase in visitors from Germany and Ukraine. That number is still well below the 14.7 million who visited Egypt in 2010 before the 2011 uprising that toppled long-time autocrat Hosni Mubarak and ushered in a prolonged period of political and social crisis.
And that's Network Africa at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker.